Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter and today I'm going to be talking about Chucky Season 2 Episode 1. It is called Halloween 2. So full spoilers for the episode as always. So yeah, Season 1 of Chucky was a good bit of fun and I was curious to see what they would be doing in Season 2. I would say this episode has a bit of a weird structure and it kind of felt a little lopsided at times, but that seems to be because it's building up to its ending where it's actually really setting up what the season's going to be. I think there was a bit of an identity crisis in the middle of this episode. I was sort of thinking, there's fun parts here and I'm enjoying seeing some of the characters again, I'm enjoying some of the Chucky antics, but it kind of feels like it spends a bit of time in like chunks in different places. But when it comes together at the end, and it does something really ballsy towards the end, which made me laugh out loud because I'm a sick bastard, and then it set up what this season's actually going to be, I was like, okay, now it feels like coherent, now it feels like there's a set plan, and this is what this season is now. Because the episode up until that point, it was kind of like a weird mixed bag of like just tying up some season 1 loose ends and explaining where characters are and things like that. Not without good things in those scenes, but certainly a little bit more disjointed than I would have liked. But a lot of good things to talk about. Obviously Chucky's delightful as ever. Enjoyed the outrageous action scene at the start, which was picking up where season 1 left off on the truck with Andy and all the Chuckies crawling on top like an action hero. Had a good bit of fun with that. I thought that was just the kind of exactly sort of the big ludicrous Chucky action scene to start with, just to get us all in the mood, make us all excited for Chucky again. Good stuff. The characters, it's interesting to come back to them because we were kind of left in this weird place where 2 of our main 3 characters, all of whom are teenagers, 2 of them were left without any guardians at the end of last season. The Devin's mum was killed, Jake's aunt and uncle were killed. There's like, where are these characters going? And they have foster parents by the sounds of it. It almost feels like the show didn't really have much interest in really tackling this subject too much. It's kind of, Devon's is just kind of, there's a quick reason why she's just not around. She got a foster kid and then just left and she's not seen him since, basically. Jake, you see a little bit, and obviously you get the little brother, which we'll talk about. But for the most part, it kind of feels like it wanted to brush this stuff under the rug as quickly as possible, which I think is partly why this episode feels a little like, let's just quickly get through some things so we can really start what the season's real story is, which is what the ending of the episode sets up. The young brother stuff was quite funny though. This kid who was obsessed with being Robin and wanted Jake to be Batman and kept saying holy something Batman over and over again. That was a kind of a fun running gag. Chucky saying that was already like getting old, things like that. But the shock death of this kid at the end, when Chucky sort of comes in with the explosive and has this kind of the hostage situation where he just wants to kill them all with an explosive because he hates them all for all the plans they ruined in season 1. And we know that there's more than one Chucky doll left, but it sounds like it's not like as many as it was. There's a lot of Chucky dolls that got destroyed in the crash, things like that. Devin asks how many there are left, and Chucky's kind of ambiguous about it and just says, enough that I'm willing to make the sacrifice of this one to kill you all. But yeah, the kid grabs the bomb and runs, but then Chucky jumps up behind him when he's staring at the when I say the original Tiffany doll, I don't mean the original doll from the movie. I just mean a duplicate of what the doll was originally, if that makes sense, which is in the episode because Caroline's therapist gives her doll because she has this fear of dolls now after all this stuff with Chucky, as you would expect she might have. So, I gasped a little bit because I didn't think they'd have the balls to kill him off, and it actually ends up being the catalyst. It ends up being the inciting incident that sets our 3 main characters on what the season is going to be for them, which is they're going to be at this strict Catholic boarding school, maybe correctional school, maybe a better phrase, but it's actually the renamed school that Charles Lee Ray, Chucky himself, went to, that was heavily spoken about last season in the flashbacks and stuff. So even in season 2 now, we're still adding and delving into Chucky's past and having fun with that. I don't know if we're going to get flashbacks again this season, but it definitely feels like we're still kind of using these past in a way that it still feels like it's enriching the mythology of the whole Chucky universe at this point, which is insane how much of the Chucky universe there is now, because he's got a TV show and he's adding so many hours to the overall count. But I did like the setup at the end and the realization of where they're going. They've got this strict nun who comes out and talks to them, and them clashing with all this. Obviously, the fact that 2 of our 3 characters are gay is probably going to be an issue in such a religious place. Something that is a nice kind of counterbalance, because the start of the episode with them is a little bit too sweet in a weird way. You know, when he comes to say goodbye to when Jake comes to say goodbye to Devin, and they won't kiss in front of the foster parents at first, but then they say screw it and have the big dramatic stop the car, run out and kiss. It was really like, oh man, this is like super TV, like saccharine sweet. This it feels like too happy and too good. Something's not quite right. Maybe that's just my cynical TV brain working. But the end of the episode having the counterpoint being that they're not in a happy place anymore, and now they're literally at this this religious place where even if they're not necessarily feeling all romantic and lovey-dovey right now, they're probably going to at some point, and then this place is going to be this shackle around them. So there's a lot of potential drama there. It was fun having the characters all reunite. Lexi really did like a U-turn in season 1, and it was nice to see her happy to see the guys again. She does obviously have more of a substance problem, seemingly. She's raiding for pills at one point, and clearly is a bit broken, so she's got some stuff to get through, and I think that's good. It's good that we're sort of already starting off an arc for her. We have an arc for the 2 guys as far as their relationship goes, but maybe in an individual sense as well. Jake's going to have to work through like the trauma of the Chucky stuff, and the fact that he, this little kid that he looked down to as a little brother died, and probably feels responsible for that. But I think them all having some sort of strong character arc to kick off with is good. I was also happy to see Caroline back. As much as I don't know how much she'll have to do now, because if we're following the 3 kids at the boarding school, then I'm not sure how much we'll get to see of some of these other characters, particularly Caroline and then Lexi's mother, who had a great scene in this actually, where she's doing the press interview, and there was actually a nice little couple of moments of the performance that I really liked from the actress, where she's doing this, like she's trying to, like, it's kind of sickening how she's turning her her turmoil and her tragedy of her husband dying into press, into PR, and milking it for everything it's worth. There's a great moment where the interviewer asks Lexi a question, and the way her face changes to concern a little bit, because she's like, oh, is this little bitch going to like toe the family line here? Is she going to like say what I want her to, so as not to nuke my political campaign? There was just little moments there that I thought worked quite well in the performances, which interestingly, obviously the 2 big scenes we get with them in the couch, the other one's at the therapist office, where we get the doll introduction, and the Carolines are scared of dolls, things like that. And there's wonderful little things throughout the episode of her having the knife. Like Lexi literally hands her a big butcher knife at one point and says, keep this for protection, which is a weird thing to hand a little girl at that age, but in the absurdity of the Chucky universe, it makes sense and kind of works. But when they're at the therapist office, one of the things they bring up that is interesting to note is that Junior is taking the fall for all the murders in season 1. So the town is remembering him like he was an absolute serial killing psychopath, which is a bit of a shame, because he did have a little redemptive moment right at the end of his story. So Lexi kind of tries to stick up for him, and the mother's like, no, he's an awful, you brought like a murderer into our midst, you did this, you horrible daughter. I mean, she doesn't say those exact words, but that's kind of the sentiment that has been implied. So I do actually think Caroline's a really interesting character, and having like this like kid in this, not that it's new to the universe, because obviously we started Chucky with Child's Play, which was when Andy was a kid, but it is, I think it's interesting to have this innocent kid in the mix of everything. So hopefully we do get back to her. Maybe there'll be some minor subplots in the town or something throughout the season, and we'll see these characters that way, or maybe, who knows, I don't know. But I do hope we see them. As far as Andy seemingly dying, he does this big sacrificial moment to destroy all the dolls by running the van over the edge of the cliff, like past the cross, and he says, for his foster sisters, he's going over. I will say, if there's one like mild critique perhaps of the TV shows, is that while it's great how intertwined it is with all the movies, it does kind of feel like the characters they set up at the end of the post-credit sequences in the last couple of movies, being Andy and I'm forgetting the foster sister's name, forgive me, they didn't feel like they had maybe as much of a prominent presence or impact as I think we might have hoped they would have had by the time they were done on the show. And Andy seemingly quickly just being killed off like this does kind of feel like, okay, that's all the movie characters pretty much. The exception being perhaps, well, I guess Jennifer Tilly, but I mean, Nika is the one I'm sort of thinking about. Like, Nika, that poor woman, we have to give her some kind of closure this season. Like, come on. Or some kind of happiness, some kind of hope. That woman's been through so much. We have to do something for her. But yeah, as far as like, there's not like a lot of the other set pieces in here that I want to talk about too much. I did think the Halloween stuff early on was fun enough. There was a very Scream vibe to Chucky calling Jake and doing the whole wrong number thing and then calling back again. And then, doing the, like, being at Lexi and Caroline's house and them freaking out over the phone. Like, there was a very sort of Scream kind of tone to some of that stuff. I think when I talked about the structure being a little bit weird, is you've got this opening, which is big and bombastic, which is fine. And then you go to the big goodbye scene, which is a good few minutes, and that takes you to all the Halloween stuff with Jake and Devin over the call, and their kind of, like, struggling relationship with the long distance and stuff. That's a nice big chunk, and it's and then it neatly introduces Lexi through the phone call because Chucky's spying on her, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But at that point, it shifts to Lexi, which is fine, and I think typical TV structure would then tell you would start swapping between the two plots, with Lexi then jumping back to the guys, but there wasn't really any other plot with the guys until they come and see her. I mean, there was like one scene of them like meeting up or whatever, but it felt like we stuck then with Lexi and her family for a lot of scenes. And that's not a complaint in the sense that any of the scenes should have been gone or anything. It just, from a structural point of view, it felt like we switched who the characters we were following were to it becoming this mini story purely about Lexi and the new doll that the therapist gave Caroline and all the stuff going on with that until the guys eventually showed up at the window and it kind of started to become more of a... But it felt like a really good flow in the episode to me, where I started to feel like, oh man, it's been ages since we've seen Jake and Devin now. They were all over the first like 15 minutes of this episode, and now I've not seen them in like another 15. It's just a bit weird from a structure point of view. But ultimately, I can't really complain too much because there was still a lot of enjoyable stuff in the episode. And the big thing is that what it sets up at the end for the season, I'm into, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress. And it's a neat way of getting all the characters together again, where they're all getting sent here together because they're all seen as equally responsible for the death of a child. They're not being blamed as murderers. They're not being called no one thinks they intentionally killed someone, but this all happened on their watch, and they have to go through this. So no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. It is worth mentioning before I wrap up here that I'm on vacation next week, so I will not be doing episode 2 after it airs. I will be probably doing episode 2 and 3 as a bundle when I get to it, when I come back, because I think I come back like a day or two after episode 3 airs. So when I can get to, as soon as I can get to it after that, I will do 2 and 3 as a package. But just to let you know, because I will not be having a new episode next week. But I will see you for episode 2 and 3 in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll see how the season progresses. But it's off to a pretty solid start, I think. At least in premise, even if this first episode's a little wonky from a structure point of view, the actual premise and all the possibilities of having them living together with this potential new antagonist of the nun. Although I do wonder if it's going to be one of those things where she starts off as an antagonist because she's so strict and against him, but over the season, she's going to ultimately become an ally, perhaps, against Chucky once someone believes that he exists. Which obviously is the other thing, that there's a package at the end delivered to the school with it's the shape and size of the good guy doll. So you're pretty confident that Chucky's already tracked them down and knew where he was going. So yeah, the tease for the rest of the season was perfect. Yeah, but a bit clunky in construction and some other bits and pieces for the rest of the episode. But there you go. That is my thoughts on the first episode of Chucky Season 2. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. Helps me out a lot. And of course, you can go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support me over there for as little as $1 per month. Or hit the super thanks button below the video. Any and all help is appreciated if you like the content. So thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?